There isn't a person alive who doesn't know that music. Every time I hear it, I'm immediately brought back to my 7-year-old self, jumping up and down on the couch and screaming at the TV for Rocky to knock out Apollo. In 2002, we were all given the opportunity to play as tough as bricks Italian Stallion. The game came out in multiple systems including the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and Game Boy. But today, we're looking at the Gamecube version. There are a couple things to know before you start playing. Unlike the PlayStation and Xbox versions, which were made by Rage Softwares, the Gamecube version was made by Steel Monkeys. Overall, the game looks the same, but there are slight differences. Personally, I'm a Gamecube guy, and that's what I'm sticking with. Now time for the game. The game is exactly what you think. In fact, if we were on Family Feud and Steve Harvey were to ask what you thought the Rocky game would be about, the answers would be simply 1. I want to play as Rocky. 2. I want to fight Apollo. 3. I wouldn't mind fighting Mr. T. 4. Let's fight the Russian. 5. I want to beat Hulk Hogan's ass. And 6. I wouldn't mind beating that Punky Cock's ass at the end. That's pretty much it, right? Let's face it, at its base, this is a boxing game. So the only real draw to the game is your memories about the movies. Luckily, they have a movie mode, and it allows you to do, well, almost all of the above. You start by fighting Spider Rico, just as Stallone did in the original Rocky. Your stats are next to nothing, and if you've never played the game, you're essentially just guessing at what to do. After each win, you have the opportunity to improve your abilities. You only have 2 attempts to improve, and you have a simple choice. You can either A, go in and try to do well enough on the workout to gain upwards of 10 points, or you can do a quick workout and just have 5 points added to your stats without even trying. If you decide to actually try to do the workouts, beware that the points are based on how many points you score, and if you don't score enough, you could earn as low as just 1 point. At first, I did the workouts, but after a while, it became repetitious, and I just started going for the quick points. At any rate, once you've completed 2 workouts, it's time to fight. Movie mode works exactly as you'd expect, essentially working from the first Rocky all the way through Rocky 5. There's some oddities here and there, but they hit the majority of the movie plots. 2 fights with Apollo, Mickey's death, Apollo becoming the new coach, fighting Clubber Lang, Apollo's death, Duke becoming the new coach, fighting Ivan Drago, then retiring from fighting, and of course street brawling with Tommy Gunn. Even though they hit the majority of the points in the movie, I gotta admit, I was a little disappointed about a few things. The first thing is when Rocky 1 fights Apollo 1, and yeah, that's their names. I guess the game designers didn't want anyone confused about what movie you were taking part in. I mean, couldn't they just keep that at the top? Why'd they have to show it when the winner's announced? Anyways, they should have forced Rocky to lose, or at least make Apollo difficult to beat. Even in hard mode, I knocked out Apollo in the first round. 2. Given that you beat Apollo 1 to move forward in the campaign, you'd expect that the new heavyweight champion would get better venues. After beating Apollo, my next match was in a gym. I mean, that's messed up. And lastly, where's the match with Thunderlips? As horrible as some of the later movies were, I really expected to at least see Hulk Hogan as Thunderlips in a match. What a shame. I bet Hulk wanted more money.
To all my love slaves out there, Thunderlips is here, in the flesh, baby.
After movie mode, you can play in an exhibition match where after you've unlocked all the characters, you can actually play as the statue of Rocky. No matter what you think of the game, that's pretty funny. You can also take part in the sparring mode, where you just focus on improving your combos. And lastly, you can play in a single elimination tournament called the Knockout Tournament. Playing each mode on different difficulties will allow you to unlock different areas of the game, from movie clips to playable characters. Well, that about sums up the game. So we'll do a top 5 good things and top 5 bad things to finish out the review. So let's start with the good. Number 1. The game is based on a beloved franchise which is about boxing. No matter what happened, the game was probably going to kick ass. Number 2. The controls are definitely a plus. The game plays easily, and it's easy to understand how to use each button to control the fighter. That doesn't always happen in these games. Number 3. The game can be played over and over again. From beginning to end, watching all the cutscenes, it took right at about 2 hours to beat it from start to finish. It also helps that it's a game that you probably can walk away from and then come back years later and not really miss a beat. Number 4. The hit detection isn't horrible. In a lot of older boxing games, there's nothing more frustrating than watching your opponent be inches in front of you and hit you with some haymaker that knocks you out. The hit detection's not great on this game, but it definitely isn't the worst thing I've seen. Number 5. The game is cheap. Over the years I've purchased it twice, and on both occasions it was under $5. Right now the game trends at around $10 for a complete in box, but you can find it loose copies for even less. Personally, I wouldn't pay more than $8 for the game. Even though it's a good game, it is a sports game, and those really aren't worth much. Alright, now it's time for the bad. Number 1. An opponent that's hurting will forever run away from you. It's by and large the most frustrating aspect of the game. When the computer is hurting, it runs until you catch him. When you're hurting, you can never get away from him. Number 2. While hit detection isn't bad, the weird knockouts and the blatant headbutts will either make you laugh or scream. It might be a glitch or just bad programming. Either way, it's annoying. Number 3. The repetitiveness is horrible. Granted, perhaps this is like getting upset about a baseball game where you play baseball every inning, but after a while I began to hate the workouts and hate the opponents. While I could do pretty well at the punch mitts, I was a chump at every other workout, and since you absolutely need those stats to improve every match, you can't afford to practice the workouts you're not good at. As for your opponent, they seem like the same person each fight. It's not really interesting or challenging, unless of course you're playing someone from the movie. Number 4. You are a constant underdog. One thing you'll notice as you play is that your reach is much shorter than your opponent's. They have the ability to take hits much better, recover much quicker, deliver super punches much easier, and of course, knock you out with ease. It's bad enough that you're a constant disadvantage, but once you get knocked down, your ability to win just got much harder. While your opponent has the stamina to be knocked down 5 to 6 times in a bout, once you get knocked down for the 3rd time, you're done for. There's no amount of tapping that's going to save your ass from that countdown.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's it. You're out.
Lastly, the worst thing about this game is probably the most obvious one. Rocky is right-handed. It would be one thing if the movies glossed over this fine point, but it's brought up on several occasions in several movies. Being left-handed is a big part of who Rocky was.
Southpaw means you're left-handed, but I'm a southpaw and nobody wants to fight no southpaw, you know what I mean?
Never got a chance though because you're left-handed, huh?
Well, that's absolutely true, you know.
There's only 2 reasons I can think of that might possibly excuse that glaring mistake. 1. The developers figured that 90% of the gamers are right-handed, and it might be disorienting to play with a lefty. Now I know, I didn't say these were good reasons. Number 2. The only movie they used as a reference material was Rocky 2, where he fought right-handed for a part of the match. Other than that, I honestly don't know how you make such a mistake. I can't even play the damn game without deeply sighing every time Rocky comes out right-handed. Well, that's Rocky for the Gamecube. Not a great game, not a horrible game. Overall, it is a game worth owning and worth completing. Plus, it won't take much time or money. As for me, this one just goes down as another entry in my 8-bit memoirs. If you enjoyed the review, click subscribe. Feel free to add comments regarding your experience with Rocky as well. And thank you for viewing.
That's it. You're out.